Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of YXE Underground. My name is Eric Anderson and we are heading to one of my favorite places in Saskatoon for this episode, the Broadway Theatre. This month, the Broadway Theatre is celebrating 30 years as a community-owned and operated theatre in Saskatoon, which is an achievement worth celebrating. The Broadway is many things to many people. For music lovers, it's a place where they can see their favorite artists and bands in an intimate setting and discover new and emerging talent from across the world. If you love live theatre, then you have no doubt seen the Saskatoon Soaps perform on stage or watched a theatre group perform during the Fringe Festival. Movie fans can flock to the Broadway for classic films, the best in global cinema, and independent Canadian movies. I even dragged my wife with me to see a screening of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan at the Broadway Theatre, an experience I know she is grateful for. Probably not, but it was great in the theater. For the past 30 years, the Broadway has been a hub of cultural and community events in Saskatoon, and the future looks bright for the next 30 thanks to strong leadership, community support, and an army of passionate volunteers. Holly Gilroy is the operations manager of the Broadway Theatre and works closely with volunteers to ensure that not only events take place at the 77-year-old theatre, but that people and artists enjoy their experience.
It's really cool working with lots of folks who have been at the theater longer than I have, in a different capacity with greeting people at the door and ensuring that all of the people that are there to see the show, making sure that their night goes well and you know, if they have any issues or whatever it is, that it's handled and that they're just having a nice evening. And so I think one of the highlights, or one of the biggest part of my role that doesn't necessarily take up the most time, but is definitely one of the most essential things, is working with the volunteers and just hoping and making sure that they feel appreciated and know how much time and effort they put in and how much of a difference that makes for everyone involved, for us and for the artists, for the people going to the show. I think the volunteers do way more than they know.
The community spirit found in Broadway Theatre volunteers is also found in Erin Otterbein and April Sora. Erin is the artistic director of the Broadway and is really quite gifted at forming meaningful connections with people and organizations in Saskatoon and throughout the greater artistic community. April is a past board member at the Broadway and, as you will hear, has been a supporter of all things Broadway Theatre since before she moved to Saskatoon. I was very lucky to speak with Erin and April in the lobby of the Broadway on a busy Friday morning a few weeks ago. Student volunteers from Oskayak High School were filing in to help get ready for an afternoon performance, so you'll hear some commotion and rehearsals in the background of our conversation. Erin stood behind the concession while April was in front of it as I hit the record button. Now, we cover a lot of ground in 27 minutes, from the joys of working with the community to celebrate artists to the challenges posed by the pandemic. From ensuring the next 30 years are just as successful for the theatre to all the events happening in October. I started the conversation by asking Erin if she thinks of the Broadway Theatre as a hub for our community.
Absolutely, yeah. It's we've got people here from sometimes 7 in the morning till 2 in the morning. When we're running shows, it can be a 12 to 17 hour day easy, and the door is an ever revolving space for people who either live in this neighborhood or are coming to check out this old weird theater in the middle of this kind of boutique-y street. So,
do you like that it's a community hub, April?
I absolutely love that it's a community hub. And my first encounter with the Broadway Theatre was actually prior to arriving in Saskatoon in 2000. My brother had phoned ahead and actually bought us some memberships for the Broadway Theatre because we were really big fans of repertory theaters, so and cinema. So we had those memberships before we came here, and I have strongly supported this community-run organization since I've arrived. Yeah.
So I'm so curious, April, because so you were a member even before you moved here to the city. When you first started, then your involvement with the Broadway Theatre, what stood out to you?
Well, absolutely that you could feel that it was community run. You could feel. I was here, Eric, when we used to have pillows in a big box at the front of the theater, and so we actually bought pillows and we put them in the box, and we would grab those pillows every time we came, because the seats were so bad at the time, like you could not sit on them for the length of duration of a movie. But yeah, so I think from the moment we stepped into the theater, we loved it. Yeah.
There's not still pillows now, is there?
No, there are not still pillows now, but definitely conversations about the life of the seats left. And it's cool that, I didn't know that story about your membership because we're doing for our 30th anniversary a massive membership drive and overhaul of our membership system to really reflect how much the organization has grown and changed in the past 30 years.
So that's a nice segue to talk about the fact that, like, the Broadway, well done, Aaron, that the Broadway is turning 30. So, like, how is it an exciting time? Is it a time of reflection for you, or is it more just like, oh my gosh, our October is insanely busy? Like, what's going through your head?
It's kind of all of the above. There's a lot of period of reflection, and we've been here for 14 years, so that's almost half of that anniversary that we're celebrating, and looking back and even trying to be like, what show was that I was working, and who is this on stage, and being able to go through and be like, right, like we've done a ton of really cool stuff here, and a ton of powerful things and life-changing things, and I've seen everything from baptisms to funerals and weddings, and like as April said, it's a community hub, it's community owned and operated, so just as much as we're a space and a home for touring artists and musicians, we also want to be a home for our community members as well. Lots of life events have taken place for people here. So
what has been like some of the keys to success, do you guys think, in terms of the theater, lasting, thriving for 30 years, and like 3 or 4 of those years in a pandemic? Like, what has what has allowed it to continue to be, going strong?
The community, legitimately, like we wouldn't have been here post-pandemic, venues and live music industry was hit incredibly hard by the pandemic, as we said, first to close, last to open, and we turned to our community for the first time in over a decade and said, hey, we need your help to be sticking around on the other side of this, whenever that may be. And our community showed up and really blew us away with the amount of support that they put behind us. And so it feels like now our job is to honor all of that energy and time and dedication that our community put in to us during the pandemic, and to make sure that there's a reason for them to be coming back here, get those butts in those seats, and hopefully provide transformative and life-changing experiences for our community as often as possible. And I want to make sure that the programming, you're not going to see the same 2 people in the seats every day in a row here. It's always a different group of our community members entering this space. So
I think part of the long-lasting legacy and work of the Broadway Theatre has really is connected, I think, to the staff. I was on the Broadway board for 5 or 6 years, and throughout and the COVID years as well. So it was an incredibly tough time, and we were just so thankful for the staff who really pulled together. They were able to keep the organization afloat, as well as stay relevant within the context of COVID. And so, even the signage that they had outside, and I shouldn't say they, I should say we, because I feel very connected to the Broadway. But I think even the signage, which became really iconic throughout those years, and I think Aaron can probably speak to that a little bit more, but really I think the staff are so passionate about what this theater is and what it brings to community.
Where does that passion come from, Aaron?
I was raised by musicians and activists and community organizers, and my grandfather was a jazz drummer. I grew up going to jazz festivals and music festivals as a kid, and when we moved to Saskatoon, we moved a lot as a family, and my family made a point of finding these community hubs through wherever we were, and it was a really easy connection for us to the Broadway Theatre. So I think creating gathering spaces for celebration and contemplation and education and inspiration, that's a really, really powerful thing that you can do for the people, your neighbors. And so I don't know where it comes from, but the drive has not, the flame has not gone out. It just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger over the years. So, yeah.
That's really nice. October is going to be a very busy month.
Yes.
Who would like to do a little rundown in terms of everything that's going on in October?
I can do that, and then we can loop it into where April's going to wow us on stage. So October is kind of the anniversary of being community owned and operated for 30 years, and we have a ton of really cool programming happening throughout the month. So some of it was natural that, the tours worked out, but the artists love the Broadway and are really excited to be included in our birthday bash. And then we've curated a few community events with, a classic country cakewalk with the Sea Hags, and we've got an electric circus themed DJ Boogie night happening at the Cosmo.
That's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, just really remembering our roots in 1993. And then we've got culminating all of these events with Dan Mangan and Great Lakes Swimmers and Begonia and Mary Walsh and endless amounts of shows. We also have a big birthday bash happening on October 25th with a number of our community performers, as well including Living Sky Taiko, which April's a part of. The Delicates, which our former executive director, Kirby Werchenko, that's his band. And then we've got the Saskatoon Soaps are hosting, who have been in this theater for over 40 years. And we'll also have Mariel Buckley performing as a duo, which is really exciting because she's just an incredible artist. And we've watched her career from the beginning. I remember putting a show on at the church just a couple blocks away from here with Mariel, and it being a really powerful performance. And so we're really excited to have her come celebrate with us on the 25th. So with all of that, we're also doing a big membership drive, as I spoke, and really transforming from this film model to how do we make our membership reflect anybody who would come through the store and make it beneficial for them. So, and then on top of that, we've got some wicked film programming throughout the month, some really great themed programming, some celebrations, some classic drunken cinemas, and a lot of 1993 themed stuff, and then an exclusive merch launch as well to celebrate our 30 years. So we've got some really great artists who are connected to the theater who have made some pretty sweet stuff for our community to get to walk around proudly with. So yeah, we're excited. I'm also tired thinking about it.
I was just about to say, that's a lot of stuff.
We have an event every single day of the week, whether it be film-based or a rental with our community or with self-produced events that we've brought in with artists that we love. So we're really excited to see some artists that we've watched their careers explode over the years, and they still want to come back to the Broadway even though they could be playing bigger venues, and that's a great feeling for us to go, okay, it's not just an us thing.
Yeah. And April, you're going to be on stage.
Yes, we are. So I am part of a Japanese drum group called Living Sky Taiko, and it was founded by James Baikawi. He started it with a mere 3 Japanese drums, which are called taiko. When he returned from Calgary, he brought these drums with him, and he just decided, we need to have a taiko group here. And so I was lucky enough to be part of that very early on in that first year. And that was in, what did I say, Aaron? 2009. I think 2009. Yeah, 13, was it 13 years? So 2009, so we've been together that long. There have been different members, of course. Right now we have 8 of us as part of the performing group. And I can't tell you how excited we are to be part of this 30th anniversary show on October 25th. We play a lot of events throughout the summer at different festivals. And it's very close to my heart. I am third generation Japanese Canadian, and this was the very first thing in my life that really brought me back to sort of the roots of my culture. For many, many years, you spend a lot of time sort of being ashamed of who you are, mostly for historical reasons, of course. Both of my parents were interned during the Second World War. But the taiko and the sounds of taiko so resonated with me when I was much younger, and I started playing in Toronto. And again, am so grateful to James for having started this group in Saskatoon to be a part of. So yeah, we're just beside ourselves excited to be part of this 25th anniversary.
And does it hold any extra significance because you were on the board for so many years, the inner workings, you were a member even before you moved here, will it be? I guess you don't know until you actually do it, but I wonder what it will be like for you on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when Aaron invited me, I kind of got a little bit emotional, and it was just a text. It was a random text, and I'm just like, oh my God. And yes, absolutely. I mean, the history with the Broadway, even when I became a board member, it was emotional because of that history here. It was one of the first places that my husband and I connected with when we first arrived. And so, to be on the board, I was just very proud to be a part of that. And now to be performing at the 30th anniversary there's a lot of, I think, connection there for me, Eric.
I love that. How the three of us ended up getting together was a week ago during Broadway Street Fair. Aaron, you and I ran into each other, and you're amazing, puppy dog. And we were talking about the upcoming 30th anniversary, and just sort of how you and your team are working so hard to make sure there's another 30 years, because as we know, there are lots of other festivals and organizations that are struggling, and I know recently Regina Folk Festival had to lay off all their staff, and that made me sad because I've gone to that festival for years, and I love it. And so how hard is it, Aaron, to make sure that the Broadway Theatre continues to 2053 and beyond?
Yeah, I think a big driving force behind what will help us with the next 30 years was the decision to restructure our leadership team here at the theater. For many years, the artistic director position was rolled into the executive director position. And over the pandemic and throughout, kind of the challenges of the past few years, we really recognized that at the core of our mission and mandate is the programming that we put on here. And we really needed to put our money where our mouth was and support the programming as much as possible, whether that be accessible community events or rock stars who want to, sell the place out and burn the house down type of thing. But we really needed to be able to foster those relationships and really dedicate attention and care to them to ensure that they are the right fit for our community and serve everybody and anybody who would walk through these doors. It's hard watching our comrades in the industry, whether it be nonprofit or music or arts, really struggle through this, and it's an eye-opener to, we got to be strategic, we got to be creative, we got to be community-focused and minded in order to launch the next 30 years. I think about the folks who decided in 1993 when the theater was closed down after a few years of being blue, and then it was shut down, the people who went, we got to save this place, we got to make sure it's around for another 30 years, and the amount of hard work and dedication they would have put in order to ensure its survival. And I wouldn't be standing here without that work, and so I hope that I can at least match it in order to ensure that my successors 30 years down the road are doing doing what they need in order to serve our community and make it a better place to live in this city and in this province. And that's ultimately the driving force behind it. Is Saskatoon's a great city, and we're known for our arts and culture and all of the great things that we can provide. But 10 years ago, a lot of these bands weren't stopping in Saskatoon. They were skipping over, or we were seen as a gas station stop. And the Broadway really had to curate a reputation as it is worth it to stop here. Our audiences will show up, they will support you, and they'll buy your merch, and they'll buy tickets the next time you come to town. And the number of like repeated artists that we see is just it's kind of a testament to that. Yeah.
That was very nicely said. April, anything to add to that?
I think we're talking about the future and the next 30 years. I have great confidence in the staff and the board. I think with our staff, and like Aaron had mentioned, now there's sort of this co-leadership of artistic and executive director. I think that's brilliant. I love that Lenore Meyer is the executive director, and so with the two women at the helm, I just feel so encouraged that this is going to be sort of a new era for the Broadway theater. And talking about the importance of community, the importance of community relationships, making space for community and community voices. I hear much more talk too about reconciliation and a commitment to that. And I know the Broadway has already partnered with Reconciliation Saskatoon and have done an event to help raise the profile of some of these speakers and educational opportunities for people in Saskatoon to learn more about the history of this Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. I think it's a responsibility of community organizations to do that, and I think the Broadway is really taking that seriously, and I appreciate that so much in community. So these are the things I see going forward that make me feel so happy and so encouraged that we're going in the right direction.
Gosh, you two are good. Last question for you both. Aaron, you mentioned something earlier that is sort of sticking in my head about honoring what the community wants and what the community is looking for in a theater, in an organization like this at the Broadway Theater. How will you both know that you're doing a good job, that you are honoring what the community is asking? Like, how do you know when you're doing well?
I think audiences showing up, kind of the feedback. Sometimes we don't get feedback about our programming even for until years later, where someone will stop you on the street and go, I was at this show in 2018 and I met my wife there, or these trickle effects that, when you close the theater down at the end of the night and you've been on your feet running around scooping popcorn and you're salty and a little exhausted, those stories kind of, are really motivating for, this is a spot where it's a gathering space, and those gathering spaces are, in my opinion, really they're really sacred to community building and community unity, and I'm hopeful that, the next, someone's asked me recently, where do you see the next 30 years? And I just can't answer the question, because over 14 years we've exceeded my expectations, and I think everybody else's as well. And we do things that I never would have imagined that we would be doing when I walked in here in 2009 and got completely obliterated by a sold-out Core Blunt show. And that was my first shift. I was thrown to the wolves, and I remember watching the smiles of people who came out of the auditorium. That's one of my favorite things to do at the end of a show, is to stand here at the concession and watch the audience leave, because you can really gauge the kind of effect it had, whether it was powerful or joyful or all of those things. And so I think that's it. It's just watching the audiences and seeing the effect it can kind of have immediately, and then also hearing the effects from years down the road.
How were the beer sales that night for Corb?
Oh, they're pretty next level. And back then we only had like a small keg fridge holding beers, and yeah, it was quite the event.
I asked because one of my favorite Broadway shows, it wasn't that 2009 show, but it was later on, it was just him acoustic here. And I was third row with my cousin Troy, and I was smiling and laughing because he's such a great storyteller, great musician, but also he had 5 drinks on a chair beside him. There was like 2 beers and a Ryan Coke and a water, and then there was something else too. And he would just like kind of cycle through everyone, and he had an intermission. And I remember I think all the beer got sold out that night. It was a Saturday, Sunday night. It was just, but it was. And it was great too because it was such a diverse crowd. He brings in so many different people, but it was great to see it here.
Yeah. And this venue is like, it's a really great space to see your favorite artist. Yeah. It's intimate. There isn't a bad seat in the house. We've got incomparable sound and lighting technicians. Like, we're really, really lucky to have the teams that we work with behind us. And so, yeah, we do what we can to make sure that it's a welcoming and joyful experience for every community member, and so it's just endless possibilities, I think, for the next 30 and hopefully 60, 90 years. It's an old building, it's a 77-year-old building, but 30 years of arts and culture focus is we've done a lot in those 30 years, and so I can only imagine where it's going to go.
That's amazing. April, anything else you want to add, or before I let you go on with your busy days?
Yes, I have a lot to add, Eric.
Okay. This is your time, April.
So I think going back to your question about, how will we know whether we've been successful, or, whether we're honoring sort of the past and also moving into the future. I think for me, and Aaron and I have talked about this so many times over Ace Burgers, or, but there have been many times in the past where my husband and I have come to this theater, and I've been almost the only person of color in the theater. And Aaron and I always talk about, how do we make those changes? How do we make this theater relevant for everybody in our community? And whether it's racialized people, people from Indigenous communities, we really, really want to make this a relevant theater for a true community theater. And so I think it's happening slowly, and these things do happen very, very slowly. But we've had such great talent here. We had Tanya Tagak and Dawn Spidell has put on several shows here, amazing, beautiful shows. And the Broadway has offered some of these for free, as well as my absolute favorite was Red Sky, which is a dance company out of Toronto, and it was just breathtaking. And so, we have, and now, inviting different groups, including Living Sky Taiko, to be a part of a mainstream event. So, it's not just an ethnocultural event, it's a mainstream event, right? We're not being marginalized, we are part of the celebration, So I feel those types of small wins, those types of small movements forward are just so important. And I really think I believe that the Broadway is very committed to this. And just one plug is that, we are looking for more people who think this way and hope for the future this way to be on this board. We will be recruiting very shortly. So I'm hoping that people out there who hear this will be attracted to being part of this, this sort of phase of the Broadway theater, and going forward being far more, being very conscious about being inclusive and about being reflective and hearing voices from all parts of our community.
It's such a pleasure speaking with you both. It really is. It really is. I think, well, for the record, April, I've been trying to get you on the podcast for 6 years. And so the fact that you're on this now, oh boy, That's
Well,
just
Eric, I just want to say, and you might cut this out, I don't know, but I want to thank you for really raising, making space for voices in community for those people who typically we don't hear from. And that was the whole point of your podcast from the very beginning. And it's why I've been a huge supporter from the very beginning, because, you know, I 100% support trying to raise so the profile and hear the voices that we don't typically hear of people doing these amazing, I mean, some of the people you've interviewed are just incredible. The work that they're doing every day in our community, and we just don't hear those stories enough. So I can't thank you enough for doing that for us. So please don't cut this part out, please.
Please keep it, because it's legit. It's feedback. It's good feedback.
it's feedback. Okay, that's very. I am not good at accepting compliments, but I coming from you both. So thank you, April.
No,
thank you, Aaron, for the kind words. Back to you guys, though. You two are amazing, and thank you for the work that you do here with Broadway Theatre, and good luck with a very busy month of October. April, good luck on stage on the 25th.
We hope you're going to be here October 25th. Yeah.
Don't worry. It's you can't.
Oh, that'll be lots of fun.
Birthday party without Eric Anderson there.
You don't have to be working. We just want you here to celebrate.
And that is a big part of it. It's just a celebration to say, hey, look what we did for 30 years, and let's do another 30 and have fun doing it.
All right. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for your time.
My thanks to Aaron Otterbein, April Sora, and Holly Gilroy for being on the podcast for this special bonus episode celebrating 30 years of the Broadway Theatre. Now, if you want to check out all the events happening this month at the Broadway, be sure to visit their website, broadwaytheatre.ca. My name is Eric Anderson. I host, produce, and edit this local independent podcast. If you like what you hear, be sure to tell your friends and leave a 5-star review. A brand new episode of YXC Underground drops on October 12th, featuring Charlene Seawack, who is the Adult Literacy Coordinator at Foundations Learning and Skills. I think you're really going to enjoy her episode. She's just a wonderful person and is doing really important work in our community. Before I go, I would like to acknowledge that these interviews were gathered on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. YXC Underground is a production of the Saltimer Production Company. My name is Eric Anderson. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon, Saskatoon.